Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news. Lots to get into this morning. Snubbed by Van der Sar, Joao Felix interest. Also interest in a striker playing in the MLS who is 18, Jhon Duran. And also, of course, it says it on the thumbnail, decision time as Ten Hag versus Ronaldo hits Showdown talks. So lots to get into on the show this morning ahead of, what are we at now? Europa League? Thursday night, Sheriff press conference tomorrow. Sheriff manager has come out and said that he expects Ronaldo to play on Thursday night and train with the team. I suppose we'll start off there. I mean, look, I'm the same as you. The actual outrage, disrespect stories are well documented. Don't really want to talk about that. I want to talk about moving forward. And whether we like it or not, it's a significant day for Manchester United, and it's a significant day for the future of our striking line, Cristiano Ronaldo and Erik Ten Hag. There will be conversations today. Manchester United did not train yesterday. This morning, lunchtime, at some point today, Cristiano Ronaldo and Erik Ten Hag will have a discussion. Now, it probably will be this morning that we get the news because Manchester United are back in training this morning. Now, Ronaldo will be in training at Carrington. Will he train with the first team or will he train with the youth team? We're hearing he might train with the youth team and then Ten Hag will speak to him afterwards. Now, if that's the case, that gives him tomorrow to train with the first team if he apologises, to potentially be part of the team on Thursday night. Of course, if he trains with the first team today, you'd expect him to be back in. It's going to be very interesting. This is not going to be kept quiet. You can't keep stuff like this quiet. People will moan about leaks, but the reality is there will probably be anywhere between 40 and 100 people at Carrington today training and stuff like that. When you think about all the squads, all the coaches, somebody will tell somebody who will tell somebody, and journalists will be anxious to find what happens this morning. Casemiro is sublime. Thank Daddy Madrid for giving you guys part of our history to save your small club, says Lalo. Okay. Anyway, back to Manchester United. Yeah, so I think it's going to be very interesting. I suppose, without dwelling on it too much, these conversations today between Ten Hag and Ronaldo, what we're hearing is it will basically be about a full and frank apology from Ronaldo. And if Ten Hag doesn't get it, he may keep him banished from the first team. I think it's a significant day because if he is back in training and he's involved for the Sheriff game, then everything will continue as normal. If he's not involved for the Sheriff game, then why would he then be involved for the game on Sunday against West Ham? And I think the subplot to this is Anthony Martial back in training? Because if Martial's back in training this week, then that really strengthens Ten Hag's hand. So it's politics in football. It's football politics. I think Ronaldo is in a powerful position because the World Cup is coming and he will go to the World Cup and then it's the January transfer window. So even if he's banished from the team for 3 weeks, he's still going to go to the World Cup. So I don't think it's the end of the world for Ronaldo. For Ten Hag, he's got games he needs to win. And obviously if Martial's fit, it makes it easier. So I think it's hard to predict which way this is going to go. But I think that we will certainly get some progression today. And I'd say it's 50-50 in the fan base as to what they want to happen. I think some people just don't want Ronaldo to come back and leave. I think some people want Ronaldo to come back and help the team and then leave. I don't think there's many people that want Ronaldo to stay, long term now, because that would be foolish because Ronaldo doesn't want to stay himself. I think that's the starting point, isn't it? Ronaldo wants to go, Ten Hag wants him to go, and it's just whether there can be any professionalism between now and January or not. And it will be quite interesting. And as I said on the last night's show, it also depends on what the stance of the football club is. They may still have delusions of getting money for Ronaldo. And also, if Ronaldo doesn't want to apologise. I mean, as I just said there, if Ten Hag gets a full and frank apology from Ronaldo, who then apologises to his teammates, then maybe he will be back involved playing games for United from the bench or whatever than that. But if you're Cristiano Ronaldo, you might think, hold on a minute, I'm not apologising to Ten Hag and those players to sit on the bench again and be frustrated. It's 3 weeks to the World Cup. I'm just going to, for me, I've walked off. And what I mean by this is Ronaldo might just think, no, I walked off. I know it was bad. And I know that was the end. And it is the end. And Ronaldo might just think that. He might have thought it through so much that when he did walk off, he knew that was it. And if he did it, he wasn't going to apologise for it. So Ronaldo might just go, I'm not going to apologise, no. So keep me training with the youth team. I'm going to the World Cup. And then I'll be back to leave in January. So it'll be interesting. There is no definites in this. And I think it's a significant day. What do I think will happen? I think part of me still thinks that he will be involved in the game against Sheriff, and United will try to just sweep it under the carpet until January. But I don't know. I've got no inside information on that, and I don't think anybody else has either. So it'd be interesting to see what happens whenever that breaks. No Filter says, love how fans turned on Ronaldo so quickly. Almost like him and De Gea didn't save us for embarrassment last season. Ronaldo in, Ten Hag out, toxic fans and Glazers out, says No Filter Patriot. Well, it's all about opinion, mate. I mean, it is all about opinion, and I think it's multi-layered as well, and we've spoken about it enough. Anyway, let's see what happens with that today. I want to get into some other stuff. Two very interesting stories about strikers, Joao Felix and Jhon Duran. But first of all, I just want to come back to a story from last week that was quite exciting. But sometimes we forget the answer and go, oh yeah. I don't like doing that on the news show. So because this is a news show and we bring you the news, Edwin van der Sar has snubbed Manchester United. Last week there was a story, and I forget where it was coming from. Oh yeah, Dutch. It was a Dutch outlet, wasn't it? Morning, Mark. I think we will apologise and leave in January, says Mikael Roach. So last week we had a story about Edwin van der Sar being linked to Manchester United and Manchester United wanting to go for Edwin van der Sar. He's set to announce his new contract at Ajax next month. And 2 + 2 is 4, and people were talking about Edwin van der Sar coming to Manchester United. Edwin van der Sar has spoken over the weekend. He was quite derogatory towards Anthony, actually, saying that Anthony should have stayed. But in relation to Manchester United, he was like, no, there's no truth in this. I've got loads more to do at Ajax. I'm not going to Manchester United. So this is what I mean, isn't it? We spoke about it last week. It was quite an exciting story, but the reality is, I don't see Edwin van der Sar coming to Manchester United anyway. He's the CEO of Ajax, and Ajax is run completely different to Manchester United. The Glazers and Richard Arnold don't want that sort of director of football at Manchester United who wants to build a football club. They want John Murtough. They want somebody who basically says, yes, sir, 3 bags full, sir. That's what they want. They do not want an innovative football director of football CEO. They don't want that. So Edwin van der Sar would be perfect for Manchester United, according to many Man United fans, but he is not going to come, and he's ruled that out. Delo to Madrid. He's not happy with the Ronaldo situation. Madrid insiders told Marca, says Lalo. I think you're talking out your arse, mate. Keep doing it, though. Back to more sensible conversation. There's also a story about Michael Edwards, who used to be head of recruitment or something at Liverpool. Apparently Chelsea want him. Apparently Manchester United might be winning that race. Look, I'm not really that excited about Michael Edwards. I mean, he's going to be better than what we've got, but what happens to Murtough? And, it is an ex-Liverpool employee, and it's also coming from a source that I'm not 100% sure on. So United are looking for a director of football, but personally, I think they'll come ready with their hooks so they can be a puppet to the Glazers, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't think so. We have to stop with all these former United players. I think it's a good thing for United. Plus, he's not experienced enough to take a job at United, says Carol. Look, whether Van der Sar is experienced enough or not, Carol, that's not why we won't get him. We won't get him because he's actually competent. We will want a puppet. That's what we will want. He should say sorry, says Daniel. I think he's talking about Ronaldo. He doesn't have to mean it. He had any respect for the club or the fans. He would just put his head down and get on with it. Till January, says Daniel, which he may well do. So that's the latest on Van der Sar. I just want to quickly dive into this. Just to come back to that, the Sun, and it is the Sun, are saying that Napoli may be interested in taking Ronaldo in January. I don't think it matters. I really don't think the January story matters, and I don't think enough people are talking about this. I don't feel that the January story about Ronaldo matters, just the same as the August story doesn't matter. We see countless people, journalists and fans, saying nobody wants Ronaldo, and they need to remove their head from their arse because they're not thinking it through. They're just jumping to a conclusion. Ronaldo could go to Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, Juventus, Bayern Munich, Man City. He could go anywhere in January. Or he could go nowhere. But to say nobody wants him is ridiculous because if United terminate his contract, he's free. And as long as Ronaldo says, all right, I'm not going to get £500,000 a week, but I do want 250 grand a week because you're going to sell a load of shirts, Ronaldo can do a deal with Napoli, Sporting Lisbon, Marseille, PSG, whoever. Somebody will do a deal with Ronaldo in January. So I don't think it really matters who gets linked to him. The only reason it ever mattered about who was linked to him in the summer, whether it was Chelsea or Napoli, was because Man United wanted a transfer fee. that transfer fee is not going to happen anymore. So where Ronaldo goes in January is irrelevant. Somebody will take him. Jack Jones said, I mean, look, I was talking yesterday, Arsenal fans were saying they'd love him. Newcastle fans were saying they'd love him. So there'll be a club for him. Glazers out, says Jack Jones. Eric was happy to see him go in the summer. Ronaldo won't want to apologise. His ego is too big. What do you think Alex Ferguson is thinking, says Jack. Well, they're the sort of conversations we just don't know about, Jack. And they're interesting conversations, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Do you think Sir Alex has had a chat with him? Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out today. Anyway, Lamptey's bench for Brighton. Why? This is a good time to buy him on the cheap, says Vandy Candy. Yeah, but I think if Lamptey's being benched by Brighton, there might be a reason for that. Is that not a bit of a red flag? Anyway, let's talk about transfers. A couple of stories coming in. I'm going to start off with, we'll talk about Joao Felix in a minute, but I want to start off with a story that's probably a little bit more interesting. You might have seen it over the weekend. Manchester United have been linked with a Colombian striker. He's 18 years of age. I think he's about 6 foot. I think he's actually left-footed, although I don't know much about him. Jhon Duran plays for Chicago Fire in the MLS. Colombian. Manchester United have been linked to him, as of Chelsea and Liverpool, in a 10 million deal in January. Now, apparently, a couple of years ago, he was named in the top 50 or 60 young players in the world to come and for the future. I don't know much about him, but apparently there is a little bit of interest in there from Manchester United, and he's certainly a player that's attracting a lot of interest in the Premier League. I think he's a winger stroke striker, obviously 18 years of age. It's one of those, isn't it? I mean, if you spend £10 million on an 18-year-old from the MLS who has, he's not going to come in January and play straight away, is he? So I think it's an interesting story. Whether Manchester United... These are the sort of deals I was talking about last night. These are the sort of deals, if he goes to Chelsea or Liverpool and ends up being brilliant, everyone will go, why didn't United do it? But are they the sort of deals that United do? I suppose we've got to monitor it and see what it's all about. I don't know anything about the player. Maybe some people in the chat do. Obviously, he's going to be relatively quick, but I couldn't tell you. I mean, you'll get people saying he's like Rashford, he's like Martial, he's like Alan Shearer. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he's like. I don't know what he's like. What matters is if we can pull off these sort of deals for young, talented players that have got a bit of, I suppose, hype around them, and they're available for a reasonable price. I mean, my understanding is that Chicago Fire in the MLS aren't doing that well, and probably would take about 10 million quid for him. Now, would United want to spend 10 million quid on someone like that? It's not worked out that bad with Malacia, has it? So I don't know. I think it's worth mentioning, but is that what we need in January? I think if that's the striking solution in January, we may well struggle. You can't really go and get an 18-year-old from the MLS in January and think that's strengthening your team for the rest of the season. It's not. It's a future signing. And that sort of signing, we've seen it before at Man City and Liverpool. When you're making those sort of signings, you're sort of looking for the next 3 years. You're not looking for the next 3 months. So, look, we'll have to wait and see. Apparently there's interest from Manchester United. We get linked to a lot of players. There might be absolutely nothing in it. It might be his agent from the MLS stirring up interest in the Premier League by mentioning Chelsea, Man United and Liverpool. And he might end up going to someone like Fulham. So we'll have to wait and see. But I don't... It's interesting. It's the sort of signing that's good if your team is doing well. But we need signings to come in and serve the team now, and I don't think that's the right sort of signing. Is the next Ahmad or Palestri? Probably won't ever play anyway, says Robbo. But on to Joao Felix. Now, this isn't coming from The Sun or anything like this. This is coming from Sky Germany last night. Now, there's been a lot of stories about Joao Felix, which we've sort of kept at arm's length and gone, whatever. But the story coming out of Sky Germany last night was that there is definite interest from Manchester United in Joao Felix, who is dissatisfied about what's going on at Atletico Madrid and certainly wants to move. Now, the interesting thing about Joao Felix is I think he's a very, very good player. And I think he'd served the Premier League very, very well wherever he went. But he's only 22 as well. I think he's 23 November or December. I think he's 23 before Christmas. So he's still not shockingly young, but he does feel like he's been around for a long time. And at 23, would he be a player that you would want at Manchester United? Well, instantly, yes. But I do agree with what Pom's just said there. Felix in, Glazers out. I think this is the sort of signing you only do if you've got owners like Newcastle or Man City or Chelsea. We ain't going to sign Joao Felix under the Glazers because, he's going to cost upwards of, I don't know what he would cost, but upwards 80 million. Maybe they'd want 100 million for him. So I think Joao Felix would be a very interesting signing for Manchester United. I think it brings its own problems, which I'll discuss in a minute, but there's no doubt he wants to leave Atletico Madrid, and I don't see him at Barcelona. I don't see him at Real Madrid. I don't see a Serie A club being able to afford him. PSG might, but I don't see him at PSG with all the players they've got, unless it was in the summer and Messi goes back to Barcelona. So Premier League probably looks about right, but whether it would be Manchester United, I would highly doubt it. Joao Felix at Manchester United would have to play as a false nine, which might work. It might work, but he's not the out-and-out striker that I think Ten Hag craves. And I see Joao Felix as more of a creative attacker who could wander to the left in the Bruno position. I don't see him as a number 9. I think he'd basically be a false 9, and I don't think that's what Manchester United are looking for. And Tumbleweed says 120 million plus easy. Maybe. And AJ Twin Gamer says I don't want him. But I do. I mean, J Football's talking about Tony being terrible and we don't want English players. The funny thing is, I think if Ten Hag had a choice between Joao Felix and Ivan Toney, I think he'd go for Ivan Toney, and he'd probably be less than half the price because Ivan Toney is an out-and-out number 9, and I think that's what Ten Hag really, really wants. I do think he'd consider Gakpo and turn Gakpo into a number 9. I don't think, Rashford's been turned into a number 9. Martial's been turned into a number 9. So I don't think he would refuse Gakpo, but Joao Felix is not really going to get turned into a number 9. I know he can play there, but that's not really what he's going to be. And I think for the money you would pay for someone like Joao Felix, I just can't see it ever getting off the ground. I really can't. And I know, Sky Germany can be hit and miss, and there might be something in it, but it just doesn't seem right. I would almost think I like Joao Felix. I'd have him at Manchester United. I think there's an argument to say that Joao Felix is better than Bruno. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. As I said, there's an argument to say that, but there's not an argument to spend £100 million on a player like that. It's not the profile of player we need. We need a number 9. Martial's injured. Even when he's fit, he's a different type of number 9. Rashford's a very different type of number 9. We know Ronaldo's going to go. So I do think that signing Joao Felix, as good as he is, wouldn't serve the purposes of the team where we just need an out-and-out goal scorer, an out-and-out number 9, an out-and-out penalty box striker. And look, I don't want Romelu Lukaku and I don't want Danny Ings, but at least they are number 9s. But I think we need to cast our net a bit bigger than Joao Felix, and we will we'll be able to get players who are a lot cheaper, who are actually number 9s. I feel that Joao Felix would cost you maybe 100, 120, 80 million quid, and where would you play him? Whereas if you bought a Mitrovic, and listen to me on this, hear me out on this one. If you bought a Mitrovic for maybe 40 million quid, he's not Joao Felix, but he'd fit the team role better as to what we need. We need a goal scorer. And yeah, he's never going to be world class, Mitrovic, but I think he'd suit the team better than Joao Felix. And sometimes, this is where teams like Man United have gone wrong in the past. Real Madrid went wrong as well with Galacticos. England went wrong with Gerrard and Lampard. It's not about getting all the best, and they did it with Scholes as well. They played Scholes on the wing at times. Yeah, they're fantastic players, but it's not about getting as many fantastic players in a team as you can. It's about getting the players that fit the system. And I think we need a number 9. I don't think we need a Joao Felix. So, I agree with Abbas. I think someone like a Vlahovic would be useful. Fearnaught says Felix is overrated. I don't think he is overrated. I just don't think he's what we need. If we had a number 9 and we didn't have a number 10, I would say, yeah, go and buy Joao Felix. Felix release clause is 350 million, says Tumbleweed. He will go. I mean, he will go, and he won't go for 350 million because Atletico Madrid will want to sell and Joao Felix wants to leave. And he's not playing well. So he's not going to go for 350 million. There will be a price there. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the next 6 months, Joao Felix goes to somewhere like PSG or Chelsea for 80 million. Let's see. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But even for 80 million, I'm not convinced it's the right player for United. However, what I will say is, if there is something in the story, and this is the player that Erik Ten Hag wants, then as I keep saying time and time again, you've got to go and get the players that Erik Ten Hag wants. That's what you want to do. Somebody just told me that Cristiano Ronaldo is at training. He may well be at training, but is he actually training with the first team? That's the big thing. He will arrive at training, but I don't know whether he's training with the first team or not. Yeah, he's turned up in his car. Martial's back as well. Don't mean he's training with the first team. But Martial driving's a good thing. So Anthony Martial is back. I mean, look, what we're going off here, I think Sesko is the answer, says Mikael Roach. I think that answer's already written, though, isn't it? I think we've already missed out on that. So pictures coming out now this morning of Anthony Martial arriving at training, driving himself, and Cristiano Ronaldo arriving at training, driving himself. We always knew Ronaldo would be at Carrington today. Will he train with the first team? Will he train with the youth team? Big question. But Martial turning up, and where is Martial on his injury recovery? Because if Martial's going to train with the first team today, Ten Hag's in a lot stronger position to say to Ronaldo, I don't even need you on Thursday. And he doesn't. If Martial's not quite ready, maybe it opens up the door. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But as I said, Ronaldo was at Carrington on Friday. Ronaldo was at Carrington on Saturday. He was training with the youth. So he could be training with the youth again. With Martial, I think he has been training for the last week or so, but I don't think he's been training with the first team. It's like Harry Maguire and Brandon Williams. I think they might be back with the first team today as well. But whether they'll be involved in, recovery work still or not, that's the thing we need to find out. Maybe we'll find out from pictures today. Although United are very good at releasing training pictures and not showing you all the players, are they? Because that happened with Rashford and Martial a couple of weeks ago. Martial's fitness levels is less than my granny, says Huz. And bring back a Garlo, says Ihab. Every team who wants Ronaldo comes with a but. It depends how many concessions he needs to make. Game time, wages, sign-on fee. And that's not our problem, Mania. That's not our problem. There will be a club for Ronaldo in January. That's not our problem. Our problem is, what are we going to do in January? Who are we going to buy? Spoken about Michael Edwards-Yash. We'll have to wait and see in the summer. Last week we're getting Van der Sar. This week we're getting Michael Edwards. Next week he'll go to Chelsea. So we'll have to just wait and see with that. We need another option up top, and McNeil deserves the shot, says Iron. Thank you for the super chat, Cutter. I think Charlie McNeil's a really interesting one. Obviously, many of us have been keeping an eye on his progress in the youth for a couple of years now. I don't know at what point you start saying Charlie McNeil's ready for first team football. The fact that he's still part of the youth setup when he could be on loan in the Championship would lead me to believe that he isn't ready. Although sometimes a manager will go, I'm not loaning you to the Championship because I want to use you with the first team. Now, I think Iqbal should be in the Championship. That's where I think he should be. I think Charlie Savage should be in the Championship. Shoretire should be in the Championship. I think you look at what's happening to Mejbri at Birmingham. Now, maybe Ten Hag doesn't feel they're ready for that yet. Maybe he wants to give them first team time. But I don't think training with the first team really does a lot for a player. I think competitive football does. So I don't know with Charlie McNeil. It's whether Ten Hag, I don't know. Why is he not on loan somewhere playing first team football? I'm not convinced Charlie McNeil's ready yet, to be honest with you. And I don't think Ten Hag thinks he is. But if anything happens to Rashford at the moment, he probably would have to play Charlie McNeil because Ronaldo's been banished, Martial's not 100% fit, and Rashford's, if Rashford was injured. So, yeah. Ronaldo isn't scoring because he isn't playing. That's the bottom line, says Jay Fern. And we need Gakpo. He can play on the left, right, and up front, says Fair Portal. I'd still say that Gakpo is the most interesting one. That reminds me, actually, do not miss the show at 2 o'clock today. We are giving away 2 tickets. Yes, 2 tickets to the Carabao Cup game between Manchester United and Aston Villa. So we've got 2 tickets to give away. If it's your dream to go and watch a game at Old Trafford, you can do it for free with the United stand. 2 o'clock today, we'll be giving away 2 tickets for the Carabao Cup game against Aston Villa. We'll give you the details on how you need to enter that at 2 o'clock. I'd rather play Garnacho than McNeil, says Himanshu, who has been suspended in games for racist remarks about his opponent. Not the type of player we want in our dressing rooms, says HR33. Don't know what player we're talking about there. We need a striker who will score 25 goals a season, says Daziz Gaming. Yeah, they're not easy to get hold of, mate. I think we'll have to buy one and make one. I don't think we're going to buy one that's automatically going to do it. Would you take Valverde, says Mills? Yeah, but Real Madrid aren't going to sell him. I mean, just talking about Real Madrid, apparently they're leading the race for Jude Bellingham. We spoke about Jude Bellingham a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? And the chances of him coming to Manchester United. I wouldn't say that it's impossible that he comes to Manchester United, but I certainly don't think it's very likely, do you? And yeah, I mean, I'd love Bellingham at Manchester United. 19 years of age, doing what he's doing. I heard Pep talking about him yesterday, and I couldn't stop nodding my head. He's right. It's not just the talent of the player. It's the age. It's the leadership. It's the maturity. I think that there's a unique situation with Bellingham there, where if he was French, Dutch, German, most teams in Europe would want him anyway. It's not the English thing. He just really is impressive for what he's done at such a young age, and I think Real Madrid will be looking to get hold of him. How about Fofana, Castro, David, Mark, play for mode, says Cutter. Okay, don't know what we're talking about. He's such a leader, says just Kevin. Why United fans rate Martial, who's highly injury prone, and Rashford, who's unreliable? Seriously, you guys don't have any clue or vision or purpose, says Simon. I didn't get to say this on the show last night, but I suppose it needs to be dropped in somewhere. We've got Sheriff, West Ham, Sociedad, Villa in the Carabao Cup, and then Fulham. There is an expectation, because of how we've played for the last couple of games, that we will go and win most of those games. And really, we need to win all of them, bar maybe the Carabao Cup, which I'm not that fussed about. But we need to win the 3 Premier League games, and we need to win the 2 Europa League games to top the Europa League and keep the momentum going in the Premier League. I won't guarantee it, but I will not be surprised if we don't win those 5 games. In fact, I'll be surprised if we win 4. I just think this season is still going to be very up and down. Yeah, I really do. I still think that we are capable of good things and capable of disappointing things. And I think it's going to be really interesting over the next 3 weeks, because these are games where you'd expect us to win. And West Ham are no mugs, and Villa have got a new manager now, and Fulham are no mugs. So I just don't think we're going to go into those games and roll them over 3-0 each game. I'd like us to, but I don't think we will. I still think that, it sort of reminded me with that negative comment there. Look, Martial's not been fit hardly at all this season. Rashford isn't a striker as far as I'm concerned. Varane is now out. Delot is overworked. I just think that I don't think that we are going to be able to go on a run. I still don't think we're consistent enough. But that's the challenge. That's the challenge. That's what Eric Ten Hag will be saying to these players. You're not consistent enough. We need to prove that we are. These are exactly the sort of games that we slip up in. If you look at the last few games, Everton away was good. Spurs at home was good, and Chelsea away was good. But Ammonia, both games were crap. Newcastle was crap. They're as recent as Everton away. So I still think that consistency is going to be the problem. And I don't think you can put, completely understandably, I don't think you can push the button of consistency. I don't think consistency just goes on like the Hoover. Push the button and it's on. Like, I think it has to be worked for. And as we know with United, you can work for it and never achieve it. But hopefully, I think gradually we will. I think, 2 good performances, 1 bad one, 3 good performances, 1 bad one, 4 good performances, 1 bad one. I think that's how it's going to go. Don't you think Haaland and Osimhen are similar? No, Rishal, I do not. I think Haaland's on a different level to Osimhen. I do like Osimhen, but I think Haaland's on a different level completely. I think Haaland is a generational striker that we should have got hold of, that we didn't. And now he's going to tear it up for Man City. Gray says that Eric Ten Hag is a hypocrite. I'd love to know why he's a hypocrite. And Sal says, your expectation is get Ronaldo back with Rashford, with all another striker in the club. And Sir Alex always had 4 decent strikers able to rotate and cover for injuries. Well, I said at the start of the season our front line was pitiful in relation to depth. You're going into a massive season with Martial, who's injury prone, Ronaldo doesn't want to be here, and that's it. 2 strikers, and I know Rashford's playing there and he may well become a good striker, but I don't believe he is a striker. So yeah, to come into a major Premier League season where goals win games and the options that we've got up front was naive. We really should have got another one in. Ubdav says Eric Ten Hag doesn't drop Sancho at all. Same for Anthony. Well, you're wrong, because he did drop Sancho for the Everton game, and Anthony's a brand new signing that he spent 100 million euros on, who scored 3 goals in his first 3 games, played very well against Spurs the other night. I don't see the demand for Anthony to be benched, and Sancho has been benched and got subbed the other day after 55 minutes and got subbed at half-time in Cyprus. So that's if that's your statement of hypocrisy from Ten Hag, you might want to do a bit of research. Hi Mark, I'd play Malacia at right back for the Sheriff game so Delo gets a rest, says Toby. Well, I'm going to do the preview at 2 o'clock for the Sheriff game, because I think by then we'll have a bit of news from the training ground as to where Ronaldo has trained. We've also got the 2 Carabao tickets for you. But as a little bit of a thought, and I haven't done the predicted lineup yet, I think we'll go strong. I do think we'll go strong. I think Ten Hag really wants to top that group. And the reason he wants to top the Europa League group is because if you don't top the Europa League group, you get to play another 2 games, home and away, against a team that finished 3rd. So beating Sheriff on Thursday and then beating... Sociedad in Spain next week, you've got to go strong if you want to do that. The reward for doing that is that you'll play 2 less games in February, and you probably won't play a Barcelona or whoever's finished 3rd. So yeah, you can see the importance of these 2 games. So I don't see him rotating massively, although I would agree that some rotation would be good. Jay Football says, can Brandon Williams play on Thursday to rest Delo? I don't think Brandon Williams and Maguire will be close enough to play on Thursday. They were only doing like grass work last week. Even if they trained with the first team today and tomorrow, is that throwing them in too soon? I don't know. Look, I'm sure they'll want to play, but yeah. Gaz FM is watching while he's working. Cheers, pal. Who are some fast defenders we could sign who aren't injury prone? Well, I think Timber's a good signing, but he's small. Would you buy Timber and Martinez? I don't know. Mark, do you think there's any chance of clearing the deadwood this January to free up funds? Surely we'd have 50 million plus of players, says Oliver. Well, the only player I can think of, the only 2 players that I think are obviously could go in January that would bring some money in are Van der Beek and Wan-Bissaka. Now, whether you want those players to go or not, there is something really strange about Van der Beek and Wan-Bissaka's injuries. Wan-Bissaka was actually named on the bench for Sociedad at home and then wasn't on the bench. He was sat in the press box. That was nearly 2 months ago. What sort of injury can you pick up in a pre-match warm-up that keeps you out for 2 months? And Donny van der Beek the same. I mean, where did Donny van der Beek's injury even come from? And why is he not back yet? So, look, you hear all sorts of rumours, and most of them you file in the bullshit drawer. But you've got to admit that there is something a little bit weird about the whole situation with Wan-Bissaka and Donny van der Beek. They haven't played to get injured, and yet they're having these big injuries, and yet there's big question marks about their future. Is Wan-Bissaka injured because Ten Hag doesn't want him anywhere near the team? Is Wan-Bissaka injured because he doesn't want to play? Or is Wan-Bissaka injured? I mean, he's probably just injured, but he might not play for Man United again and move in January. Like, we know that Ten Hag wanted to get rid of him. Donny van der Beek is a player that many of us want to do well, but maybe he won't play for Manchester United again. I don't know. I mean, you get some money for them. But like Don says, it's conspiracy theories. And those conspiracy theories are running around all the time. I mean, I don't mention them, a lot of them on here, because, you know, some of them are ridiculous. But there's certain players that you hear that aren't even injured. They've got, there's other reasons why they're not playing. And some of those reasons are weird. But then again, you look at what's gone on at that football club, and you look about the rumours about certain players for 2 years before certain things happen, and you think, well, maybe some of these rumours are true, but these things are always there, and it's pure conspiracy, and it's pure rumour, and you can't talk off rumour unless, there's some substance to it. But I do think there are a number of players that are Manchester United who, and I've been told this, they'd rather sit down and be injured than play football. Look, it's unfair to use the name I'm going to use next to it, but so we'll use a different one. Twan Sebi went on tour, came back from the tour, has been injured ever since. Phil Jones, I think Phil Jones has been injured since April. It's now October. Ultimately, it all comes back to the same thing. It's not necessarily the individual, it's the people who bloody recruit them and give them contracts. We should see these things coming a lot. John says that United's ready to release Ronaldo. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, I'm back at 2 o'clock with the preview. I think by 2 o'clock we'll have some interesting updates on who's trained, etc. We've got 2 tickets away to give to the Carabao Cup, so make sure you tune in for that. Thanks everyone for watching the show this morning. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. And if you want to get one of these, by the way, we do ship these worldwide as well. Links in the chat. United Stand Shopify. And I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching. Good show this morning. Lots of topics. Take care.